You are listening to the Real Estate Blind Bid Provocateurs, a podcast taking a bold stand against the opaque and frustrating process of blind bidding, a system that has long plagued the real estate market with uncertainty, mistrust, and manipulation. This podcast is a production of TruHome Value, the pioneers of transparent open bidding in residential real estate. Now on to the show. Welcome everybody to episode 1, Unveiling the Mission, the Genesis of TruHome Value. I'm James Clark, one of the co-hosts here, along with my fellow co-hosts, KieAnn Brownell and Kari, not only co-hosts, but co-founders of TruHome Value. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good to be here, James.
We're in episode 1. We're talking about unveiling the mission here. Why don't you give us the background story of how and why we got to launching TruHome Value?
Okay. So it was February of 2020. I had a buyer who was super qualified. He was a first-time home buyer, but he had a lot of cash to put down. And we found this house that we liked. We saw it. It went on the market Friday. We saw it Friday afternoon. We were the first offer in. And let me tell you, this was a baller offer. We were like 70,000 over asking price. His loan to value was something like 40%. So he had zero issues with appraisal. So we waived the appraisal condition, no inspection, everything that you do when you're just desperate to buy a house. We had this primo offer. And I talked to the listing agent. I'm talking to her all weekend. We're looking good. I think her deadline she moved the deadline till Monday at 5:00. So I talked to her at 3:00 Monday. And you guys are great. You're looking good. I don't see anything, but you're the ones. He'll be signing it shortly, etc. So I'm fired up. I'm talking to my buyer who's just frantic, wanting to know where we stand. I'm saying, it's looking good. It's looking good. They haven't signed yet. It's looking good. So all of a sudden it gets to be like 4:00. They haven't signed. I'm calling the agent. She's not answering. 4:30, not answering. 5:00 comes and goes. They don't sign her offer. Like, what the heck is going on? So finally, 7:00, I get a hold of her. She answers my call. And I'm like, what happened? And I'm not at liberty to discuss. What? Like, we were in the number one position 2 hours ago. What happened? No idea. So fast forward to the closing. Turns out we lost she took an offer that evidently came in between 3 and 5 that was $1,000 higher than ours. She didn't call us. She didn't ask us if we wanted to go up, anything. So I'm on the phone that night. By the time I hang up with her at like 7:30 on Monday night, I am fuming. I'm stomping around my kitchen mat. And Kari calls me. She's just gotten done with a loan consultation. And Kari, now I'll hand off to you and you can tell the rest of the story.
Oh, here we go.
God. Oh, she was so mad. She was a firecracker, just so absolutely irritated by the lack of communication with the listing agent. It went from literally the pendulum swung one extreme to the next, from, hey, we're in great shape, to complete disappointment and dismay. This other person wouldn't have the integrity to make a phone call. Listen, I know we've been in correspondence and I led you with the impression your client was going to be in great shape and we'd have a deal here, but we have another offer that just magically showed up. Here's your opportunity to get a little more aggressive if you feel like you've got that wiggle room. If not, we're going to part friends and move on with this other offer. There's just none of that, like zero communication, just radio silence, gone, dark. And that's when KieAnn and I really started to say, this pain and poke process is not doing anyone any good. It's stressing everybody out. From my side of it, having a lot of communication with the buyers, I'm always the third party sounding board, somebody who's a little bit removed from the negotiation process, but still in the game with everyone else. And the buyers are dumbfounded as to how these things unfold this way. And KieAnn, you can talk a little bit more about where you and I started to say, this is not what's netting the seller the most, right? That the listing agents feel like they can just put it to this blind bidding process, let them duke it out. Eventually, the listing agent gets exhausted keeping track of all these offers. They just take whatever's highest and best and move on. And KieAnn, you and I have talked a lot about is that truly in the seller's best interest?
That's exactly right. In that particular case, I can argue that listing agent did not fulfill her fiduciary duty to her seller to get him the highest price because we would have gone up. Had we known, we would have. We would have gone up 5 grand, probably $10,000. But to your point, Kari, it's now Monday. This has been going on for her since Friday. Now, the seller's a little involved, but let me tell you, when you're the listing agent on that, you are inundated. She had over 20 offers, she told me. So you can imagine she must have had, I'm not exaggerating, over 100 phone calls that weekend from agents. Because if she netted 20 offers, there's going to be 80 that are going to fall out because it's gotten too rich for their blood. But so she's going to be answering the phone, talking to 100 agents. She's exhausted by that point, and she's just done with it. She doesn't want to deal with it anymore. And here's the thing. I don't even remember the price on this particular house, and gratefully, I don't even remember what agent it was. But let's say the price was 500,000, and she's making 2.8 or 3% on it, so she's making 15K. If she sells it for 501, she makes an extra $30. If she sells it for 510, she makes an extra $300. It doesn't really matter. 300 to 30, that's a $270 difference. That seller just lost $9,000. It matters to that seller. And, the thing that just I remember about that conversation that night, Kari, is us just talking about there has to be a better way. Nobody is winning in this situation. The buyer are frustrated. The seller lost money. The listing agent is worn out and exhausted and exasperated. As a buying agent, I was just fuming and exasperated. It's a
And
horrible
then and then
process.
you had to go tell your client that they lost too. Just the domino effect of this is incredible. Everybody loses.
Yeah.
Everybody loses.
And even the buyers get exhausted. They can only write so many offers on so many homes and get their butts kicked in this manner where they get to the point of just wanting to throw in the towel and give up. And then they wonder, is the market going to cool off? Are these real estate values going to come down? There's all of these reasons to take a pause and step back. And it's a just nightmare for everyone involved. Nobody feels good about it at the end until eventually somebody gets to the closing table and hindsight's 2020. And you can either decide it worked out great or it didn't, whatever the case might be. And Kai and I were hell bent that night moving forward on coming up with a better way. There's nothing else that we buy in our lives where we're like, hey, we're going to not know what we're up against. And we're just going to keep throwing money at the wall and see how much of it sticks and how much debt we're going to put ourselves into.
And then go full circle, James, you and I had lunch like a week later, and I was telling you this story, and you were landing on, you can tell your side of how we got here if you want.
Yeah, same thing. We hooked up and I was like, I just bought a house and it was totally crazy. It was super frustrating. I lost the first two bids. They passed on it. So they were apparently cash deals. And that's what the buyer was really excited about. But both of them dropped out. And here I am weeks later. And I've been asking my agent, like, should we put in a backup offer? Oh, don't do that. That'll incentivize them to close with the first price. All these like things. I'm like, I just don't get any of this. And then it came back. It's, oh, guess what? We have the opportunity to buy this house again. At what price? Where are we? I just thought that either the agent's incompetent or I'm missing something. I didn't know what to do. I started trying to bid on additional homes during that same time, and it just felt frantic. And then talking with you, KieAnn, you're like, yeah, this is the business. This is like one of the things that happens. It's not necessarily your agent. There is just so much that's behind the scenes that is unknown to these individuals. And then and you were like, I talked to my friend Kari. We said, we got to take care of this. And I'm like, all right, I'm in, because it was so new and so recent to me. I'm like, let's take care of it. How do we do it? And I guess that was the genesis of saying it's got to be an open, transparent bid system. What else would really solve the root issue here inside of residential real estate?
An offer platform where everybody can see what they're up against, some transparency, some integrity, and some technology that gives everybody some relief, right? Seller, you want to sell your home, you're wondering, hey, where we at? We had some showings. Are there any offers? Look right there. There's a platform. You can see you've got offers coming in. The listing agent has a better opportunity to manage where these offers are, what they look like, instead of having to spend endless hours creating spreadsheets of the terms and conditions of each offer and what might be in the seller's best interest, and then having that conversation with them. Buyers can see right there, what are they up against? Is my agent telling the truth? Are these agents playing any games? Nope, we can see right there. There's the offers. Here's where they're coming in. Everybody wins with a transparent offer portal that everybody can see what's going on, right? We wouldn't go to a car dealership and say, I want to buy this car over here. And the salesman says, fantastic. Here's our list price. But James over here came in and he offered more. And I heard KieAnn's going to offer more than that. Where you at? And I said, what do they want to pay? Can't tell you. Where are they? I don't know. I can't tell you who they are or where they're at.
I'm not at liberty to discuss that.
Not at liberty.
Right.
At the point I just want to drive home is that there's a huge misconception that this blind bid process, the pig in a poke process, nets the seller a higher price. Think of my example. They left money on that table, probably $10,000. What? It doesn't net a higher price. It's a misconception.
All right. We'll get into that in our second episode, talking about transparent open bidding and how that we see as being the revolution that's happening in real estate. KieAnn, Kari, thank you so much. This is going to be fun. Please follow us on Apple Podcast. You can also find us on YouTube if you search for @TruHome Value, TruHome Value. We will catch you on the next episode. Thanks.